And this question, I've never seen anyone ask you this, and I don't know.
Because they're dumbasses, because they don't want to look at the positive side of things.
Right. What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to Have a Beer with Obie. My guest today is, there's not really enough words to describe the legend that is Mr. Bill Goldberg, but
George Carlin was able to do it in 7, I think. I don't know. If those are appropriate for me. But
there you go. The 7 words of George Carlin and Mr. Bill Goldberg. Thanks for being here, brother.
Thanks for being here. You're at my fucking house.
That's true. We've been here all day messing around. We've just been hanging out all day messing around, and so we figured we'd do one of these, have a beer, and let you guys get to see the Goldberg that I actually get to see. And I brought you your favorite beer, which is obviously your Budweiser.
Look at you, man.
Uh-huh.
Dude, thank you.
Of course. Now, traditionally, we shotgun the first one. You want a shotgun one?
I don't really shotgun beers, man.
Well,
But I'll chug it. You can shotgun
go.
it. I'll chug it.
I think I'll go your way. We'll chug this first one. So, cheers, the new official Texan right here.
No doubt.
Welcome
man.
to Texas.
The new hacienda.
Whew, those are cold, man. Ooh.
I hate chugging it. It's so cold.
It's so cold. Oh my God.
Excuse me.
Good though. It's good.
Definitely good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, well,
This is what men drink, by the way.
it's easier to get the conversation started with this. I figure. I mean, you're kind of an on-reeled cuss, so I figured I'd get you drunk, and then maybe you'll say some nice stuff.
Exactly. That's the way to do it.
Exactly. That's how I became.
And you brought me food. Are you kidding me?
barbecue and beer, man. I mean, I'm the best house guest ever.
Shot a couple guns, had some fun, went swimming.
Oh yeah, and then we'll go fishing.
Go fishing here in a minute. So.
That's a perfect day.
Absolutely, man.
Well, like I said, you're new to Texas. You just came out here from California. That transition, like, obviously, I know you love it. What does it feel to you like now that you're an official Texan? Do you feel like you need a cowboy hat and you should be wearing boots, or you just kind of feel like on the inside you already were a Texan?
I feel like a traitor, man, because I'm from Oklahoma originally.
Oh, right. That's true.
That's honestly what I feel like.
You're a Sooner,
You know, that and the University of Texas kicked University of Georgia's ass in a bowl game 2 years ago.
Right.
So as a Georgia Bulldog, So yeah, I feel it's weird, man. It's weird. I mean, I'm always going to be an outsider here, but it's like coming home. Coming back to the Midwest after living in California for, I don't know, 15, 20 years. That I felt like I was doing time in the penitentiary.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm back home. So it's time to spread my wings and do some fishing. And we got a bunch of animals on the property, man, and building a big monstrous garage and gym. And it's my end game. It's what you work for.
Well, I think there's a real similarity between style of people and community. When you say Oklahoma, Georgia, Texas, it's very different than when you would say like California and New York and the bigger cities.
Oh God,
and stuff
yeah.
like
Well,
that.
it's Middle America.
Right.
I'm a people person. I mean, whether it's playing in the NFL or playing at University of Georgia or wrestling or doing the TV stuff. I mean, I like hanging out with kids, man. It's a cool deal. They can, no matter what I've done in the past, it's been kind of a scenario for like a superhero kind of gimmick, and it's cool.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, I looked up to a number of people, and I cared about what they said, and I followed their ideals, and they set good examples for me. Right. And, I like being that guy.
Well, you literally turned yourself into a Make-A-Wish dream. Now myself, I don't know if we've ever even really talked about it too much, but my childhood was your heyday in the not heyday, but your growth and peak in the 90s.
Yeah.
I remember just watching you on TV and being like, I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy, because before wrestling, the only other thing I really loved was football. And after wrestling, the only thing I ever really loved was football. And what you were was a football player kicking ass in the squared circle.
Yeah, man.
And
well, thank you, dude. That's
I
a
thank
huge
you.
honor. That's awesome.
It was cool that when I got to meet you. We went to a charity baseball game. And you were exactly who I would have wished you would have been. It's always people say, don't meet your heroes. Yeah. But I tell you, when I say I was obsessed with wrestling as a kid, I was truly obsessed. My mom would pay me to not talk about wrestling. I never got paid because I couldn't stop talking about it. So I was obsessed. And when I met you, the first thing you did were like, you are a bad motherfucker. We should square off. Let's hang out. And then we were talking all the time after that. And I was just like, this is not what you would expect someone who's achieved so much to be like. And I may be right or wrong, but from what I've seen, it's just because the amount of work that you had to put in to get to where you are, that's really shaped who you are now.
Well, I mean, our past experiences, both positive and negative, obviously shape the person that you are. And I mean, people may think that, you know, my father was an obstetrician and my mother played in the Chicago Philharmonic and she was an orchid judge. And I mean, I came from a pretty wealthy family. But I was given absolutely nothing my entire life, and I've worked my ass off for it. Yeah. And I came up, I was able to attain my dream, being in the National Football League, but that doesn't mean I was any good. Right. It doesn't mean that I made a lot of money. And it doesn't mean that I was smart enough to keep any of that money. So I learned the word reinvention very quickly. And I just, man, success is predicated upon the amount of work that you put into it. Period. End of story. Everybody's got, a certain package to deal with, and both positives and negatives with that package. But it's what you do with it. I'll never forget. There was a guy when I played at University of Georgia. There was a guy, Jeff Van Note, that came in, and we were going to be great that year as a football team. He looked at us and he goes, "Kids, I've heard some very wonderful things about you, but you want me to tell you what I think potential is? Potential means you ain't done shit yet." And I've never forgot that. Yeah. And my dad was a guy who worked his ass off. He was a guy who was the first guy on the block that got a computer and ended up being a computer science professor at the University of Tulsa because he enjoyed it so much. He was obsessed with it, and he just learned and learned and learned. And he was an obstetrician gynecologist. He had gone to school for probably 15 years prior to that,
and then switched over because of his passion.
Yeah, he was a football referee, for high school on the weekends, and I mean, he was a guy that lived life to the fullest, but he worked his ass off, and he instilled that in his sons and his daughter. And I'm the youngest of I got three siblings, and I'm 14 years the youngest, and I'm by far probably the least successful. I've had some very good role models, and I've had stories and instances that I've learned from that were extremely valuable in my growing up. Yeah. And you're a product of your environment, man. And I was lucky enough to be subjected to things that the normal kid isn't subjected to. My brothers took me to like 12 Super Bowls in a row. Like every year, the boys would go. Mm-hmm. We'd go to the Bahamas for 2 weeks every summer. My dad, my brothers, and my sister and I, and we'd rent a sailboat, go through the Keys. And, but I was worldly before my years, and so nothing really affected me. Nothing really gave me the wow thing. Right. Nothing, nothing.
You never had the deer in the headlights.
I never had it, and so I always want more. And you're only as good as your next event. That's right. I mean, I just live by these stupid adages, but they're not stupid because they still wouldn't be around if they weren't right. Right. and if there wasn't meaning to them. And I'm an extremely simple person, man. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. There's no bullshit. There's no ornaments hanging off, man. What you see is what you get. And, I've done so much in my life. I've learned to appreciate every single thing that I have right now. And that means that while I'm here in Texas, and it means that's the reason why I chose Texas. This is like the end game. I mean, I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
There's no doubt about that. But the fact is that the rest of my time, this is my home base, and this is where I plug in, and this is what I've always wanted. I've got the ability 400 yards from here to go fishing.
Yeah, and a nice looking spot too.
And it's great, man. And I got my wife the space to deal with her horses, and which is what she grew up with and what she loves more than anything in the world. And my son's got the ability to do anything his heart desires out here. So I'm just luckier than hell, man. But you're right. I have worked my ass off. And,
well, you said, your parents were successful, but I don't know what any kind of success would open up and make it easier for you to go the route you went. You didn't choose to. I mean, they could have paid for schooling and stuff, but you played football. Football handled that. You could have gone a certain route, but nobody can hand you WWE, WCW stardom. Nobody can hand you that.
But the WCW and the wrestling stardom thing, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, I was just in the right place at the right time. That's all.
That's a very humble way of putting it.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the story I'm sticking to. The reality is that there's 1,500 other professional athletes that tried to wrestle before me, and they didn't succeed. And many people have been given an opportunity to be in the spot, and they didn't succeed. And like I say, I was in the right place at the right time. I had some great mentors. My past had a lot to do with my success because I wasn't a deer in the headlights, and I was laser focused, and I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew the character that I wanted to come up with. And I thought that I knew business, and I knew that the best business decision I ever made was the wrestling business, because the character I came up with was the hottest thing going at the time. The UFC, MMA was the hottest thing going.
You carried the torch for, 6 years,
well,
7 years?
Shamrock did it first, and a couple other guys did it. But, I had a different package than they did, and, I was 300 pounds. I could do a back handspring, and I had traps that came down from my ears.
And what I'm saying is your parents being an obstetrician doesn't give you that.
No.
And I know you're being humble.
No, but you know what gave me that? Especially in this day and time, what gave me that was people making fun of me and bullying me that I was Jewish when I was a fat little kid.
Right.
And so, that was one of the fires that always burns inside of me.
Right.
That allows me to turn a switch on and off.
That's the same thing happened with me.
Yeah, it's just everybody's got their thing. And, we're a product of our environment, and all of our past experiences contribute to who we are now. And hey, man, the ability to do my character, you have to be an extremely, I don't know how to say it, but you got to be, I don't want to say special, because I'm not special, but you got to be different, okay? Because going from dealing with a Make-A-Wish kid whose demeanor is 100% contributed or 100% dependent upon how you deal with them, right? And your demeanor, are you positive or are you negative? They can feel it. It's a vibe, right?
Yeah.
So I'm rolling on the ground with a 5-year-old Make-A-Wish kid that's got cancer, and then in 5 minutes I got to bang my head against the wall and, suck flames and spit, smoke out or snort smoke out my nose and pick a dude up and look like, I'm an axe murderer.
Right.
And then I got to come back to the curtain and go right back to zero. That's hard, man. I mean, if you have the ability to do that, that's one thing, but it's taxing, and people don't understand it. And it's, it's exactly the switch that you've got to turn on and off, because the shit that you pick up is inhuman. Right. And the amount of weight that I've gotten under in the past You've got to turn into a different human. Excuse me. You've got to turn into a different entity, whether it's animal or whatever it is, to be that guy and to perform. And so, my ability to place importance upon that, I think, has led to my success.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be like anybody else. I don't want to do anything anybody else does. I don't want to live where anybody lives. I want to be me.
Yeah.
You know, and I think my impression of what people want to see, I thought my impression of what people wanted to see was spot on at the time when wrestling was was the big thing for me. And I was right, you know. I didn't talk for 6 months. I used some MMA stuff that people had never seen before. And, you know, I just screamed, and it was like throwing humans to the lions, for God's sakes. It was a different deal, but it takes a lot to be able to do that. You know that.
Yeah,
I
most
mean,
certainly.
It's not everybody can do that.
Right.
And you know, like right now, especially when I'm trying to explain it to my son who's 14 years old and who's never played football before. I'm telling him that, man, with that name on the back of your jersey, and when you're running down the field and the play's away, you better have your head on a swivel, dude, because you're going to get jacked.
Everybody wants to take a piece of Goldbergs.
Exactly,
kid.
right?
Yeah.
So he's got to tap into that inner monster.
Right.
And I'm trying to eloquate that to him, and it's not real easy. He sees the transformation from time to time.
Yeah. You get him in pads and
a
a helmet and knock him around a bit. He'll find it. That's in there.
I got him a one-man tackling sled on the way.
Nice.
So I'm going to make sure that kid knows how to do it, believe me. So
nice. Well, no, going back to your character before we go through, like you said, unique. It was funny as I was thinking about this stuff on the flight coming over, and I was trying to figure out how to describe your character because it is so unique. And I want to know how you feel about this. He's one of the. And I know babyface is not a good term. Not a good term for you.
I don't give a shit.
But he's one of the most baby-faced heels that you could ever see. He's a heel who never had to cheat because he was actually...
But I'm a babyface because I never cheated.
Right.
And I always stood up for good. And
Exactly.
I always helped everybody.
But you were a monstrous heel too, because you had the energy of a heel. You came out there, and when you ripped the rope and
the destructive force of it.
There you go.
I didn't have the energy as a heel because I tried that for one night, and I didn't. And I had a Make-A-Wish kid there with cancer, and it was my match was against Hacksaw, and he had just got back from cancer, right? Okay. And I went out and I beat him up, and I came back, and she was in tears. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
I'm going back to babyface tomorrow. So I did. I switched.
Yeah.
And the wrestling business never understood it. And, maybe I didn't understand the business, but for me, it was more important for her, than money. So.
I think for you, staying true to your character is what meant the most. And then in the long run, that's what made it mean the most for everyone else.
I think so.
And you can see, I mean, you can jump into an arena right now and I can hear Goldberg. You can do that right now. There's people who with all the help in the world couldn't get that type of a reaction. You can get it, and now it's been, how long have you been wrestling?
Well, I mean, not that long, but I mean, they set it up that way. They set it up.
I'm just saying,
the invincible guy. And it's easy for me to say that, everybody should work as a team because we all, it's a team effort. If one succeeds, we all succeed. But, it's easy to say that when you're beating guys in 2 minutes and, you're only having to do live shows.
Right.
So,
and you can say that as well, but then I'm definitely going to bring up, you went 170, right?
170 something.
170, maybe 100, I think it was 170. And a lot of people say what you just said. It's real easy for you to toe the line when they're giving you that. But if you're a real fan of wrestling and you've looked into stuff, you find out that you tried to give that streak to Bobby Heenan.
Huh.
And now in that, when you tried to give it to Bobby Heenan, I've seen that. And what I wanted to ask you is, that night when you, and this question, I've never seen anyone ask you this, and I don't know.
Because they're dumbasses, because they don't want to look at the positive side of things.
Right.
That's why. They all wanted to see the controversial shit. They don't want to see when Goldberg had a big heart and wanted to give a guy, the win in his hometown on his birthday.
That's what I wanted to know. I wondered, it was because it was his birthday in his hometown? His
birthday, and the guy gave me so much help in the business, it was invaluable.
Yeah.
And I felt as though it was a way that I could give back to him. I didn't understand the wrestling business at the time, and everybody in the world would have known it, but it didn't matter to me. And it was hard for them to convince me otherwise, but for me, the only thing that mattered was I wanted to make the guy feel like a freaking superstar in his hometown on his birthday. Yeah. What's better than that, right?
So exactly. So I think you definitely backed up what you're saying. It would be easy for someone to say, yeah, you got handed 170 wins, but you went there and you tried to do it in other ways, and then once you realized that the wrestling business needs this guy, this guy was needed, and he really was. Yeah, they were correct. That guy was needed, and it always blew my mind that there's so many wrestling aficionados and so many people, like the wrestling world has some die-hard fans.
Oh God.
And a lot of those guys,
some are too diehard.
Well, a lot of those guys don't know that behind the scenes it wasn't like gimme.
No, but those guys don't care. It's not that they don't know, because there's the internet. You can find any bit of information you want on the internet now. Excuse me. Nobody wants a feel-good story. Nobody wants to hear positive stuff about people. Everybody wants to see all the riots. They don't want to see the peaceful protests, right?
Right.
That's the way the world is, unfortunately. Yeah. They want to see a freaking train wreck.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get to tune in and watch you kick someone's ass. It always looks like a train wreck.
Well, that's what it's supposed to. It's supposed, I guess a good question to me would be, how would you describe your character? Right. So, to describe my character, I'll just mention a couple people, and you'll know exactly. You'll get it instantly. So I'm the Mike Tyson of wrestling. Right, so the black tights, I didn't say a freaking word at the beginning.
Right.
I just went out and I demolished guys, and I loved it, and I looked like I fed off of it. Right, Nikita Koloff.
The Nikita, the Russian guy. Yeah.
In a second, yeah. Who was the other one? Nikita Koloff, Hawk from the Road Warriors.
Oh yeah.
Where do you think I got the from?
Oh, yeah.
I did it before. I may have stolen it through osmosis from him. I don't know. But I did it in football, back in the day. And so but I kind of took it on because it was his deal, too. And, Nikita Koloff and Hawk. Those, and Bruiser Brody.
Bruiser.
You don't see a lot of Brody in me, but I got his heart, So those are the three guys that I patterned myself, after. And then I had my own spiel that I put onto it, and I had my own repertoire that nobody had before. I still got tapes, man. I still got my wrestling tapes of me inventing these moves, because people think I'm a two-move guy, but you only use two moves if you only need them.
Right.
Need to use two, but man,
a sledgehammer doesn't need to be a screwdriver.
Yeah, I prided myself in having a plethora moves,
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, like, speaking of your moves, I remember when you were first doing your comeback, we were hanging out at your other house in San Diego, and you're like, "Look, brother, I gotta give this a go. Can I get you up on my back and see if I could toss you around?" Because you knew if you could pick me up,
then I could do it to anybody.
Exactly. And you chunked me up there and you danced around like it was nothing, and you felt great. And leading in from that, when you came back, of course you had doubts and of course you had worries, and we spoke about those in the time. Did you ever have that I shouldn't do this or
always.
Any of that?
You always have it. You always have it because you want to leave at the top, right? You want to leave the biggest, baddest sumbitch, period. But guess what? My My thought process changed when I became a guy that's 50 years old and that can still do this shit.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I used to talk about Ric Flair being over 40 and how goofy he was wrestling. Man, I'm 53 right now, and I just got done, you know. That's ridiculous.
And putting on a hell of a show.
Well,
I mean,
I don't know about that, but I mean, the fact is that the way I look at it now, I mean, there's me then and there's me now. And show me another 53-year-old dude who can do it. Give me a month. The guys only give me 3 weeks every time anyway.
Right.
Give me an extra week. Give me a month. I'll show you what I can look like.
Yeah.
Not many people can do that at 53 years old, with a lot of things contributing to it, and mainly injuries, especially what I've been through. But, you know, I mean, you learn to do, man, things are just relative.
yeah.
And, you know, an injury is just, you just got to put it to the side and put your ass to the grindstone and work through it. And, you know, if the positive, I always look at things in its simplest form. If the positives outweigh the negatives, then I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. If I can provide for my family at 53 years old and go out there, I'm not tarnishing what I used to do, because I'm a different person now. I'm older now. I'm giving you a different version. Sure as shit, I'm not 300 pounds, and I don't have, you know, and I can't press 300-pound guys over my head like I used to. But show me a 53-year-old man who can do that.
Right.
There ain't any.
Well, you also have this.
I'm sorry.
You have that ability. You can listen to the crowd. Yeah. You've had a lifetime of experience, and you know how to control a crowd, even unruly crowds. That I never, first of all, thank you, because I being obsessed with wrestling my whole life, I never went to one wrestling match my whole life.
Shit.
I was poor growing up. We did not have the opportunity to do it, and you took me to my first one.
Really? That was your first one?
That was my very first one. You got me front row, and I was very grateful. And
kidding me? That's awesome.
It was awesome. And so being there, you could come out there with a crowd that's doing that thing they do where they go, what? And they're trying to f*** with you or whatever. Yeah. And you can control that crowd and turn them to where they're just eating out of the palm of your hand still.
Well, I mean, it's hard, and it's nerve-wracking, but I'm 53 years old now. Things are different for me. If I go out and a crowd boos me, I don't take it personally and feel as if I'm not worthy of doing anything. I mean, no offense, guys, but I mean, you know, yeah.
The asshole fans don't
There's a
control
lot
you.
of asshole fans
But there's
out there.
the majority of fans aren't that way.
Well, there's no question, but there's a different generation of fans now.
Right.
And they want to be that guy who started that chant and that guy who made Goldberg, you know, spit at him or do whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to give them the time to do that.
Right.
And the reality is they're paying for me to put a show on for them. They're not paying for them to be part of the show.
Yeah.
Although, you know, people may you know, refute that. But, I mean, yeah, they're part of the show because they interact. But interacting in a negative, malicious way is very disrespectful.
Well, I think that most of the fans, from the little bit that I've seen now, most of the fans understand that if they have a positive interaction with you, they get more. Maybe somebody else that they actually dislike, they can get something out of messing with them.
Yeah.
But with you, you're going to entertain them,
No question,
way more if they come along the ride with you.
No question.
And that's
they're
what
against
it is.
me. They're just going to get what they're going to get.
Exactly.
You know, and unless that's the plan, you know, like I said, it's a different crowd. It's a totally different crowd, and it was a different thing going back and being a power wrestler. Show me a power wrestler who's come back out of a 15-year retirement. It's just not, you just don't do it.
Right.
You know, because, and all those thoughts crossed through my mind when the first time I mentioned about coming back, and they still do. But you have to look at it a different way. It's not apples to apples anymore. So I'm just appreciative of the fact that I can still do it.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
you're a different person. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm a fortunate person to be able to be in a position to still earn a living for my family doing something that I enjoy and that I used to be really good at. Now I'm just tweaking by.
You are so humble. It's pissing me off, honestly.
No, but you know, I mean, hey, dude. The fact is that if you don't feel as though you got to feel as though you suck. Period.
I
Every
agree.
fucking day.
I'm the same way. You should ask my girl. She gets mad at me.
The problem is that the worst problem I have in my life is that I'm always. Here's the best way to describe me. I'm optimistically pessimistic. Okay. And I'm the hardest person in the world on myself. Mm-hmm. I don't watch my matches. I don't watch anything. I can't stomach myself on television. I can't do it because I always know that I'm going to see that thing that I did wrong and that I can always do better. And so it always drives me to be better the next time. You know, I never rest on my laurels about anything. Nothing, period, end of story. You can't because you'll get freaking passed. You know?
Yeah.
You will.
Most certainly.
And I'm not about being mediocre. You might as well not exist.
Totally
That's
agree.
how I feel. And there's too many people in this world that feel as though being mediocre, hey, I'm cool with that.
Right.
Not me.
But you're an
Not at
example
anything.
of what it takes to carve your own path. And it's really, for me, it's been inspiring in my life. It's like I said, I grew up watching you and wanting to be you, and then I carried that, and just my aggression towards chasing my goals and my dreams came from you, came literally you and the people around you, but literally you were the tip of that spear.
That's pretty cool, man. You're going to make me cry.
Yeah, that's what the beer's for.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool, dude.
So
that means that I did something right. You know, I guess I was good enough at something to where it inspired somebody to make themselves better. And that's all you can ask for.
Right. Whether
it's one person or 50 people or a trillion people. And I'm not here, you know, for likes and for follows and this and I'm just what it is what it is. You know? And I just what pisses me off more than anything is that people that are lazy and they think that nothing can be attained, that they can't attain anything, and anybody can do anything.
Yes, sir.
You just put your mind to it
and
don't give up. I mean, you know, when you get under a bar, do you ever think that no matter how much weight's on that bar that you can't lift it?
No.
It's not that you can't have that thought process come in your mind.
Or else you'll be right.
No question. So the reality is, I mean, you're not Superman, and you're going to fall short. But if you don't think that you can do things and don't have the wherewithal to be able to have the imagery to put yourself in a positive situation in every scenario, you're never going to freaking succeed.
Yeah. Totally agreed.
And that's the bottom line, because Goldberg said so. What?
Right. Well, lastly, you've had all this.
He's going to kill me for that. That's hilarious. I'll pay you $10, Steve.
Screw that. You come get a stunner, motherfucker.
He's hilarious.
Now, so you've done. It would take more time than I ever would have to list all the stuff you've done. You've gone through all these things from TV to.
But I've had to
movies.
do it because I wasn't good at any of them, and I had to reinvent myself to go on to something next.
Right, and so that being your personality. Now that you're here, you live in Texas, your son's starting high school, your wife's set, she wants the horses and she knows what she's going to do forever. Do you feel like there's something on the table that you're still chasing, or does this feel like the dinner table's set and you just want to eat? Like where do you feel now?
The dinner table's set and I put 45 hours on my tractor last week. I mean, I can't be sedentary. I can't. It's not possible. I got a TV show. I got a 2-hour movie coming out. We got 2 TV shows that was signed a contract on one of them, a new car show. You're only as good as your next project, man.
Forever.
I got cars I got to buy. My wife wants horses, and my son needs clothes. And there's only so much fish in that pond that I can catch. So I got to be out doing something, and I just want to be. I want to be a better actor. You know, I want to be a better father. I want to be a better car collector. I want to be better at anything and everything that I do. So I'm definitely not, I'm just slowing down. That's all. I mean, I'm 53. I'm an old man. I'm on AARP or whatever it is.
Slowing down. I mean, When you were fighting Brock and you damn near ripped your ear off, I wouldn't call that slowing down, brother.
Wanda hated that.
That's what I was gonna say. That's where I was gonna lead into the question, but you ran off with it. I was gonna say, when you almost ripped your ear off, was she done?
She was pretty much tapped out at that point.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
she was 10 feet away.
Yeah, she didn't like that very much. I didn't either because I thought my ear was gone. But, you know, God, if she was there that night, I put my arm through the limousine window. She would have had an aneurysm. But, you know, and Roman, you're a joke, first of all. Second of all, when he ragged on me about headbutting the doors and stuff, you know, I never really explained my whole thought process on that.
Yeah.
So for you guys to get the character that you got, I had to do certain things. Well, one of them was headbutt the doors.
Man.
Right? And that may, on the outside, look like a stupid move. But as I mentioned, we all weigh the positives and negatives. So if it's a very positive to make it as violent as humanly possible and as real as humanly possible, and all the negative is you lose a little blood and hey man, you know, you get another concussion or cut a week off your life, man.
I don't know any athlete who's ever had to prove his salt in battle who would ever say a damn word about that. That's someone who's been dancing and don't get me started. Don't get me started.
But as I said, that's the difference between Georgia and Georgia Tech.
Yes, exactly. So
in a nutshell, you need no more explanation.
Well, I think you've proven your point. So, you know. But again, I appreciate you having me out, brother.
Dude, it's an honor, man. Anytime I can get your big ass to my place out here, it's awesome.
And I'll bring the barbecue.
Nice.
Cheers.
Here's to you.
Thanks, brother.
Over and out.